We can
Let's just
multitask.
next time we'll do an interview with some pauses, but right now we're going to get to know each other. So, hello, Amy.
Hello, Natalie. Good morning.
Well, good morning to you. Good afternoon to us, but who cares? We're live stream and we are doing this interview and we've been chatting already for 10 minutes and I feel like I know you already. So this is amazing. So I just want to welcome everyone who is watching us and whether you're joining live or you're coming after. This is 6 p.m. Israel time, and is it 8 a.m. or 8? Yes, 8 a.m. in Arizona. Yeah, Arizona is in the house. Amazing. So I'm very excited. I was sharing this with Amy just before because we have this kind of tradition where we invite every 100th member of the Born to Do Business Global community for a random interview. And so whenever we see the number happening, so by the way, this was number 1,300. The next one will be 1,400. So if you get a message in your private message inbox saying, hey, do you want to be interviewed because you just won the 1,300 number? Well, this is what happened, right, Amy? So how did you feel when you got this message?
Well, I reread the email several times because I wanted to make sure that it wasn't a spam.
Right. Who is this person? Like,
who is this person and what have I just done?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so it was very interesting because it actually showed that you and your team are paying attention to how many people are signing up and engaged. And so I was like, sure, why not?
Yeah, exactly. And I was just saying just before, of course, we asked material from you and your bio, so I know a little bit about you. But I was saying some people sometimes say, can we get on a Zoom before? And I said, no, the whole fun is to just get to know each other over an interview live and just have fun. That's the whole fun. So thank you for taking up the I don't know if it's a bet, but you took the risk and here we are. And here we are just going through this interview. So what we do in those interviews is I first read your bio so that people know who you are. And then we're going to go through our talking points because we want to know more about you. This, just so you know, you and everyone else who is joining now, the Born to Do Business Global community is basically a community of purpose-driven entrepreneurs. And that's what we call it, the Born to Do, like people that do things because they're passionate, they love it, they want to share their gifts. And it sounds to me, from what I've seen, that this is exactly your case, that I feel like you're really aligned with what you love doing, even though we have a story of a hobby turned into a career. So we're going to get into that real soon. So let me just tell you more about Amy. So Amy Stevens, right? Stevens, am I saying it right? Okay, good. Lives in Phoenix, Arizona. And she's an experienced yoga instructor and a Healing Touch Certified Practitioner. I would love to know more about that in a second. She has been leading classes since 1998 and is now a virtual yoga teacher to those with limited range of motion and can't get on the floor. That's really interesting. Amy's style of teaching has given her the opportunity to work with thousands of students across the world. As an energy healer, she can be more in tune with her clients, even through the magic of Zoom or a phone call. Wow, so many questions just from this bio, right? So first, can you explain to us what is Healing Touch Certified Practitioner? Because yoga teacher, I think most of us know what it is, but can you give us more explanation on that?
Sure. So Healing Touch is an energy-based practice that helps an individual become more relaxed. It was started by a nurse here in the US, and she took a variety of different energy healing practices from other energy healers and created the Healing Touch program. And for those who are familiar with Reiki, that's that's something else that would be along those lines. So more from a terminology that most people are familiar with. But energy healing over this last year, I have had a lot of clients who have had high anxiety or even depression. And so I've worked with them remotely. Some I have had on Zoom and I watch them throughout the session, but I work with them just as if they were laying on my treatment table in front of me.
Wow, very, very impressive. But from what I understand, this hasn't been your career the whole time, right? You had a previous career, maybe in a previous lifetime, but the truth is, I always start with this question around the born to do. Like, do you feel that what you're doing now is what you were born to do, or how did you discover it? And so it would be really interesting to know, how did this become, what you do today, and what were you doing before? What was the different evolution?
Yeah, so in high school when they ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Right? Yes, we hated that question.
We hated that question. And I really had to sit with it. I'm like, well, what do I want to go to college for?
Right.
And I'm very creative. And I said interior design. So
Oh,
that's what I did.
okay.
I come from a family of very hard workers. So for me, this idea of working 9 to 5 and having set hours was never ingrained into my mind.
Hmm.
So I worked my first interior design company that I worked with. They did healthcare design, and I was doing 14 hours, 12, 14-hour days.
Wow.
And would even go in on weekends. I was their second full-time employee, so there was only 4 of us total in the office.
Mm-hmm.
And I just was a basket case.
Wow.
I was in my early 20s at that point and just wound up. I was always flexible, but a friend of mine had asked me to go to a yoga class. We went, we laughed hysterically the whole entire time.
Hey.
And then I ended up signing up for an 8-class package and then started driving 45 minutes one way to take a yoga class.
Wow.
So I was dedicated. And then right before Christmas of 1997, I said, I can't work here anymore. I cannot do this job anymore. It is literally breaking down my mind, my body. And then I went and got my yoga certification and have been teaching since. I was the first yoga studio in the county that I lived in St. Charles, Missouri. And first yoga studio, it was a lot of fun. It was very daring for a 26-year-old to be to be starting a yoga studio. But now when people think of yoga in that area, they remember me starting.
Wow. 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 So do you remember what you loved about yoga in the beginning? Like, what did you fall in love for? Like, what was the thing that made you feel like this is what I want to really invest all my career in?
It was the feeling at the end of class of just being like I was on cloud 9.
Wow.
That sense of deep relaxation going from, because at that time I was doing handstands, headstands, back bends, the whole bit. But from that standpoint of understanding from a muscular strengthening practice all the way through to the very end where you have deep relaxation, shavasana, you get that sense of everything that has taken place. And that was the big aha for me.
Wow. And then you said, that's it. I have to teach that. I have to spread that more.
Yeah, I had to learn more about it and understand. One thing I've known about myself is I've always been a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been a leader. Everybody, from the time I was in elementary school, everybody had turned to me to provide the answer.
Right.
So from the standpoint of being able to provide direction and
Mm-hmm.
give appropriate cues and have people understand their body. We all learn differently. So in my teaching style throughout these last 23 years now, this month celebrated my 23rd year teaching.
Wow.
But throughout this time frame, I have, early on, I had to physically do the practice with my students. Now I can just talk them through a class and not have to physically show them what to do, unless if the student is one who's a visual learner and they aren't quite grasping the cues. But yeah, it's amazing, and it's a bit of a joke. I teach a Sunday night class, and there have been times that I have had to teach from my car.
Oh, wow.
So they're impressed that I can teach and drive at the same time.
Oh, wow. Wow. That is impressive. Wow.
It doesn't happen very often, but this past year, as we all know, has been a little different. So
yeah, that's for sure. And so tell me, did you start teaching online because of COVID, or was it something that you were doing before already?
actually, I had done it before, so it was a very easy transition for me. That wasn't a problem at all. I have a couple of clients who used to travel quite a bit. So we would do private classes, and I would teach them, walk them through while they were traveling.
Ah, right. Okay. And so once you decided to move everything online, everyone was like, was it a good news, or people said, oh no, you're closing the studio? Like, how did people react?
Well, it was March 17th, 2020, that I remember the exact date that we had our last in-person class.
Wow.
And and I took the class outside. It was basically in a parking lot. But we all had kind of been watching the news, trying to figure out what we needed to do, and they were thrilled to be together. I separated the chairs quite a bit away from each other, but we all made that decision that day that this is it.
Right.
And
This is
so
it. We're not going to do it in person anymore.
right. So we had been talking about it as a group, as a community, and because they had been part of that conversation, it was like we all mutually came to the agreement. So it wasn't just me saying, this is it. So I feel that was one of the reasons why the transition worked so well. Especially because I have some clients who are in their 80s. They were more susceptible to getting anything if it came to our area. So that was,
yeah. I mean, we're going to get to the part where you teach older people, which I think is amazing. But I also hear what you're saying, that, including the people in the decision process is probably also what made the transition easier for them, but not like feeling like you're, getting the news, and that was probably a very smart thing to do.
Yeah, when we are a tight-knit community, so that's
it sounds like it's more than yoga, right? It's like it's something that you've created around this community. So tell us, how did it start that you're teaching older people? And you said your oldest client is how old, you said?
85.
Wow.
Yes. Wow. And the age range that I've been teaching to, so when I had my brick and mortar, I had it for about 2 years. And when I had the brick and mortar, it was at that point that demographic wasn't really being taught here in our area. I joke. So I moved from Missouri to Arizona, and Phoenix is one of the largest cities in the US. And I joke because yoga is like Starbucks here. It's on every corner.
Oh, okay.
So that was startling to me, moving here from an area that didn't know really much about yoga to now having this location where it was everywhere and all different kinds of yoga. But I really started noticing that this demographic wasn't being touched upon. And so having that connection to them and getting them involved and letting them know that, hey, they can still move working from a folding chair. It was something that was easy and available to them, and they didn't have to worry about getting on the floor. So
wow. So then it basically grew your specific target market from that age perspective. And when you came to the COVID, it wasn't a surprise. It just people were probably even happier to be able to do it from home. No?
Yes, absolutely, because they didn't have to travel. They didn't have to get up and shower. They could throw on some clothes and just work from their own home and chat with each other. That's one thing. So it's like I open the studio 15 minutes beforehand so that they can all come on the Zoom call and chat. So they still have that community piece, which is great.
Wow.
And they help each other out. Some have had some surgeries this past year and needed a little extra caring and love towards them. And we would keep in touch.
Wow.
So it's been a very interesting dynamic.
It is. It sounds like it's almost as if you were prepared even before COVID to slowly transition. And I've heard that many times from many entrepreneurs who felt like COVID was like an organic, of course we couldn't wish it, or we wouldn't want to say that, this was not something good that happened. But for some entrepreneurs, the pivoting or the repositioning or what we call like reinventing happened very organically. I know I also was online before COVID, and so things really happened very naturally. And it's just like everyone else got on board, right? You feel like everyone else was finally on board.
They're not looking at me like I'm crazy trying to teach you through Zoom.
Exactly. And so tell us, if we're talking about this, because, I'm sure that some yoga teachers would say, of course, it's better to do it in person. And how can you teach yoga on Zoom? So tell us, what are the pros of teaching yoga, or for on your side and also on the student side? Like, how is it better to do it online?
Well, there's a few things. First of all, a lot of my clients were not able to do some of the other practices. So I have a chair yoga class. I have a strength and balance class. I added a 30-minute wake-up practice that's really early in the morning. And then I have a gentle yoga practice, which is more of like a yin restorative type practice. And that particular practice, I had some people who were interested in doing it, but they couldn't get on the floor. So when I had the studio, they couldn't participate. But now they can participate because they can go to their bed.
Interesting.
And so because of that, a lot of them, so I run 9 classes a week, and a lot of them are doing anywhere between 4 to 9 classes a week.
Wow.
So they have increased their level of flexibility. Their mindset has shifted, even though, there's times when we get out of our routine or something, and then they come back to their practice and, kind of feel like they're starting over. So it's really shown them as well that even when they're away, so I have had some clients who traveled last year, even when they were away, they still needed to keep up with their practice. So it really showed a nice variety of how things shift.
A connection problem.
Yeah, I can hear you. You're out just a bit though.
Yeah, I think we're having a connection problem. Let me see if I can, because we just have to say that StreamYard told us that we might have some connection problems. But can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You can still hear me? Oh, we're back. Yeah. Okay. So let me see if we need to turn, if it's our connection, or maybe it's the StreamYard thing. Okay, so let's continue. So you were saying that even when they were traveling, they actually were also continuing their practice.
Yes, which is what makes this so much easier for so many people. And it's been fantastic. So nothing has changed except where they do their practice. Oh. Can you hear me, Natalie? Can you hear me, Natalie?
Oh no, she left. Did you leave? Oh well. We can hear Amy and not Natalie. Well, I'm sorry about that. I think Amy. Hi, Sharon. Thank you for sharing. Oh, she's back. Yeah, we're back. Who said that technology would stop us? Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, we did it. Okay. So back to what you were saying, and we had someone that said that you can hear you, but not Natalie. Thank you, Sharon, for sharing. And please tell us if you can hear us now. Just type in the chat. And by the way, if you also have a story of how you reinvented yourself or pivoted in the COVID, just type it in the chat. I would love to hear also if you were able to do like Amy, or if you have any question for Amy, maybe this is a good time for you to ask. So someone is saying both are fine. I think it's Sharon. I'm not sure, but yes, Sharon is saying both are fine. Okay, we're good. So you were saying that it was even easier for people to do it from home and when they were traveling.
Yes. So they didn't miss a beat. They were able to continue on and not lose their flexibility and their strength and their balance. So it was really of great support to them, much more so than I think any of them ever thought. You know,
Wow.
when you talk about technology to somebody who's in their 70s or 80s, they kind of
yeah, for sure. Scary.
Yep.
Sure.
And it's scary, it's different, but I walked through with each individual how to connect, what to do, and it's been fantastic.
Wow, I have to say that from what you're saying, it sounds like you're doing much more than teaching yoga. I don't know what you keep on calling yourself yoga teacher, because I mean you're a community builder, technology teacher, mindset teacher, routine and probably high performance habits and all of that. So I think
actually, when you say routine, actually, yes, that's an interesting way of putting it, because they were getting out of their routine.
Right.
So not sleeping well, that was something that was coming up. And again, when we would open up before class time, just kind of, I would not always sit and listen to what they were talking about. I would step out of the room. I'm kind of like that mom who leaves the room.
Right, just to leave them to connect. And I understand you also have a Facebook group, right?
I do. I have a private Facebook group. So if anybody has, concerns or questions, they can post them there.
And so the 80-year-old client goes on Facebook to...
one of them does, not both. One of them does.
Wow. Yeah. I was able to get my mother on Facebook because she wanted to watch the videos and the lives. So she always asked me, what time is it? What time? So she doesn't go on Facebook. She just comes when I have something going on, but and she's not 80. So that's pretty impressive to bring older people on Facebook. Wow. So I'm just looking here because you were saying what are the advantages of attending, and also the styles of yoga. You were saying that you're teaching different styles of yoga, right?
Yeah. So at this point, I've taught every style of yoga from the time I was 26 until now. 23 years later, I'll let you guys do the math on that. But when you teach a hot flow class to somebody who either does not have flexibility and can harm themselves by not being in their body, or that their body has resistance to movement. So if they're stiff and just can't do things the way that they mentally think that they can, or for those who are highly flexible. So those principles I still bring into my chair yoga practice and even into my strength and balance practice. So my strength and balance is what I consider to be now my most intense practice. Because sometimes people will overdo. It's just the human nature. Well, if Susie can do that, then I can do it better, right? So, and that's not what yoga is about. We're not here to compete with each other or yourself. And that's another big thing. A lot of people in their mind, they think, well, I was able to do this last week. Why can't I do it today?
Right. Isn't it also, I mean, I do yoga, probably not as professional and, as consistent, as you would, say to your clients, but I feel like yoga is very much connected to surrender, right? Much more
Yeah.
to the letting go and to the surrender and to, it's interesting we're talking about it because I have been looking for a yoga class that brings together not only the movement, but also the concepts behind it. And I find, until now, I can't say I've done everyone, but I find that most teachers are doing the steps and the physical aspect, but not necessarily talking about how it resonates, on the mindset and I think it's fascinating to let go and not be in achieving and competing and doing and have this more like being energy, right?
Well, and one thing as I've gotten older, the piece that I absolutely love is deep relaxation. Because when do you really allow yourself to take a nap?
Right.
When do you allow yourself, especially as an entrepreneur, because you're constantly thinking about X, Y, and Z. But when do you actually allow yourself to surrender? Exactly. And one of the things my clients, I've been teasing them with some of these yoga nidra meditations more recently. It's a practice I love. Are you familiar with yoga nidra?
Nope.
Love it. So, so think of Shavasana, so the very end of practice, for anywhere between 30 to 40 minutes.
Wow.
So it's a guided meditation typically, and it's also about healing. So you're healing through the words that are stated, and you're allowing your muscles, your cells, everything about your body, your brain to all start to come back into alignment.
Oh, wow. That's
all you're doing is laying there. You're not.
But it sounds, and while you're talking, I'm like, somebody should do yoga for entrepreneurs, because I'm sure that there is so much that is connected to, like you said, like, not stopping the mind, not stopping, the activity. It would be, I think, a great, I don't know if it's a vertical or a niche, but it sounds like this is something that everyone needs, but especially people that are over creative and over achieving.
I used to go into businesses, corporations, and work with the teams. So a department, I would go in and, and everybody's like, I don't want to be wearing my gym clothes in front of my coworkers. So that was one thing that kept people from participating.
Wow.
And then the ones who may have been heavier or more self-conscious, they didn't want to participate. So then I would go and I would talk to them individually and just say, if you don't want to be in the room, but you can still hear me in the room next door, do it over there. Wow. So I was constantly trying to make it be a situation that was more comfortable for everyone instead of just those who may be more fit.
Right. And by the way, I'm sure that this is also a good advantage of doing it online because everyone is in their home and you can do whatever you want or wear whatever you want. And there's no competition here.
Exactly.
Wow, that is fascinating, Amy. I'm so happy that you were number 1,300.
Me too. I had no idea that this was going to be something that was going to happen.
You see, this is part of the nice surprises. So another surprise is that we also have a tradition that our guests offer a gift or, some kind of something for the community. And I know that you have something very special to share. So do you want to tell us what it is?
Oh, so for those of you, who want to just start something, if you haven't been doing any kind of movements, this is something that I've put together that's called 5 poses under 5 minutes over the course of 5 days.
Wow, love it.
And it's things that we don't think about.
Oh,
How often do you pay attention to your eyes?
nope.
We can see, we wear our glasses so we can read or do work at the computer, but how often do you move your eyes to stretch them and to strengthen them?
Oh, wow. I didn't know that was a thing.
That's one thing. I also do a lot of work with hands because a lot of my clients have arthritis, and the same thing for feet. So that's just a little sampling of what's in that five poses. And if you go to my website, I'll put the link in a little bit.
That's what I was going to say. If you can put the link, so that people that are live or come to listen to the interview after, that would be great if you could do that, so people get to see a little bit of what you do. But it sounds like you have a great touch, and not necessarily a physical touch, but it sounds like you know how to really get people engaged, and that you know how to create this atmosphere that make people feel comfortable. So I'm very happy that we got a little peek inside of your business and inside of what you do and your passion, because it really sounds like it is your passion and you're born to do. So thank you so much, Amy, for spending this time with us. You are going to go on starting your day, and we are going to start the evening. That's just the way our global world works now.
I love it.
I know, it's amazing. It's just like this. We just go and just connect with each other. So thank you so much, and I hope to see you again. Of course, in the Born to Do business community, and why not for another interview? And of course, the next, not the next interview, because we'll have other interviews before, but we will interview the number 1,400. So be ready for our next 100th interview. Out now tonight. Good timing. Who is saying this? I can't see the names. I always have to look at the other at the comments on my other screen. I want to wish everyone a great weekend, because here in Israel we end the week on Thursday nights and we don't work on Fridays. So I really want to wish everyone a good weekend. After this, I just feel like meditating and relaxing, and that's not what I'm going to do obviously this weekend, but I wish it would be. So that's great. And Sunday, actually, we do have our meditation Sundays, and I'm inviting you. Oh, that's something we can do, Amy, because I'm starting to invite guests to actually do the meditations live. So if you're interested in doing one Sunday, we have them at 6 p.m., which is the same time for you, so 8 a.m. Don't you love waking up at 8 a.m. on Sunday?
Actually, Sunday is one of my work days. So I work with a lot of clients on Sundays. So no problem at all.
I'm just putting it out there because I usually do the meditation, which are more like visualizations meditations. And if you want to be a guest to our meditation Sundays, then I would love to have you and share your gift with the community.
Fantastic.
Tuesdays. And on Thursdays, I have interview. And I just also want to remind everyone that our training, our 3 days training on systems, going to happen in this group, is happening on May 9th, in a little bit more than 1 week. So again, if anyone is interested in systems, putting systems in your business, this is the time to come. It's a free training for 3 days. So I'm inviting everyone to join us. Exactly, yes. Thank you so much, Amy. Have a great day, great weekend, and we'll be in touch very soon. And goodbye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.